Hello and welcome to another episode of WVU Energy Express on West Virginia Public Broadcasting and YouTube. I'm your host, Zach Harold. One of my favorite things to do during the summer is to go out on the lake. I like fishing, I like kayaking. A few years ago, I even started scuba diving, and that's a lot of fun. Just getting out there and enjoying nature. But one thing we always have to think about when we're near the water is safety. Do you remember our friends Mike and Bruce? Well, they're still out on that camping trip, and I think they're about to head out on the water. I bet they have some safety tips for us. Let's check it out.
Mike! Hey, Mike, is that you?
Is that you, Bruce?
Whoa, wait! Oh, where's the big fish?
You just made me miss my second 10-pounder of the morning.
yeah, like that was my fault that you didn't bring that one in, huh?
It was your fault. If I would have been paying attention to that instead of... How are you, Bruce?
I'm good. Hey, this is a nice day to be out here, isn't it?
It is a good day. It'd have been a lot better if I'd have caught that 10-pounder.
Yeah, that would have been pretty sweet. I agree with you. But I tell you what, it was a nice out. I kind of had the same idea. I mean, I wasn't going to fish, but I was going to put my canoe in and paddle around a little bit.
That sounds like a good day is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
I don't know much about canoeing. All I do is fish from the dock.
Well, how about this? How about you help me put my canoe in, and then you can ride in the front, and I'll paddle you around. You can fish all over this pond.
All over it?
All over it.
I think that's a pretty good deal, Bruce. Let's do that.
All right, well, let's go get you a life jacket, get you suited up, and we'll put it in there.
All right. Bruce, something's not working out right.
What's the problem?
It just doesn't seem to want to go all the way around me. You got anything else?
Well, yeah.
I'll tell you what, I could just leave it open because it is a lot cooler that way.
When you're dealing with a life jacket, one of the universal rules about a life jacket is whatever fasteners it has, they need to fasten. So a zipper needs to zip and a buckle needs to buckle, every one of them. And you can't get any of them going, can you?
I can't get anything going. Do you know how a person's level?
No, how do you know that?
They have a bubble in the middle. No, it's not. This one's not going to work. Do you have anything bigger?
Your bubble's definitely a problem there. So let me just show you. I was looking at some of these that I have here, and you know, really, you need to inspect your life jackets occasionally because they do wear out. You know, and the last thing you want it to do is to not do its job when you really need it.
This one looks like it's been here for a while.
Yeah, you can see how it's faded and all that, but also when you feel how thin that is. The material's just really. The flotation material feels like it's deteriorating, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's nothing in that one.
Yeah, I think this one's seen better days. Probably needs to go in the trash. And, you know, I was looking at this one, and at first glance, it looks pretty good. Faded a little bit here at the top, but it's not ripped until you see this. And then there's a rip starting, and you think, well, that's not that big a deal, but if that rips farther, there's your flotation material gone. And again, what's a few dollars for a life jacket worth, you know, your life, you know, so.
Well, I don't plan on falling out, so I guess I could get by with that.
Well, you could, but we don't want to do that. So we're gonna throw that one back there. And this was a large, and here's another one that's in really good repair. It's a extra large. So try that one on, Mike. Let's see how that does.
Hey, things are coming together now, Bruce.
Yeah, it looks like it is.
So there's the zipper.
Right up.
And it's got two straps on it, doesn't it?
Two buckles, yep. There you go.
All right, strap number one.
Yep.
Click.
Yep.
Strap number two. Click.
So how's that feel?
It feels really good. It feels snug. Is it supposed to be this snug?
It's supposed to be very snug. You should feel like, you don't want any looseness, because what happens if it's really baggy on you, when you need that life jacket and you get in deep water, then you go down and the life jacket goes up without you, because maybe your arm's up, it slips right over your head. Or that's the possibility anyway.
This thing's not coming.
Yeah, so that's perfect fit. That's ideal right there. That's very good. So that'll be good. You know, aside from life jackets, you know, there's other things you need to consider gear-wise when you're getting in the water. Like if you're just fishing from the shore, it's maybe not as important. But if you're going to boat, any kind of water sport activity, then there's a lot of difference in clothing.
Well, tell me about it, because I do most of my fishing from the bank and the dock.
Yeah, well, like you've got jeans on, which are great, but those blue jeans are, you know, a cotton blend, and when they get wet, what happens when what happens when they get wet?
Well, they get heavy.
They get heavy, and they stay wet for a long time, don't they?
A long time, yeah.
Yeah. So like I've got on some like a synthetic material, and when these get wet, kind of like think of the same material that's in a swimsuit, you know, swimming trunks. You know, when you get out of the water, they dry out pretty fast, and that's the way these pants do. So you know, if you have cool conditions and you get your pants wet, then it just saps the heat from your body, because that water in those pants just keeps absorbing that heat and taking it from your body, and it can really get you cold in a hurry. And actually the same with your shirt. Like this shirt I'm wearing is just a cotton t-shirt, and when it gets wet, it would stay wet just like the pants. But I a lot of times when I'm boating, I'll wear a t-shirt like this, which looks just like the one I'm wearing except for the collar, but it's actually a synthetic blend also, and this would dry out really fast and not sap, again, that heat from your body.
I guess if we're out on the lake and we're in that boat, we don't have the option to make it back maybe as fast as we would if the truck was just next to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and then even jackets like a sweatshirt, you know, these are great. And what do those do? Those soak up water and they get heavy, and then same principle. So if you need a jacket, you need to think about, you know, if it's that kind of weather, cool kind of weather, you know, maybe something that's not going to just suck the water up and then keep that cold water against your skin. I mean, that's a big thing with clothing. But then I also notice you got that fancy hat.
Well, yeah, so let me tell you about this hat. This is my lucky fishing hat. You never turn it upside down, the luck will run out.
Well, then how did you get it on your head?
I hadn't really thought about that. Maybe that's why I'm not catching anything.
That could be it. Well, one thing about that hat, now you may not have thought about this because it's just your lucky fishing hat, but it gives you some sun protection for your ears and a little bit of your face. Like, I always like to wear a hat when I'm out on the water because I'm getting bald and I need to protect my bald head. So I wear a cap a lot of times. I also like to wear like a hat like this, and a lot of people think it's for style, but that's not.
You do look good.
It's not really for style so much as, just like your hat, it kind of protects your ears, the sun off your ears.
Now mine brings me luck.
Is that what it is? Okay.
Yes.
Well, lucky or not, it does kind of keep the sun off your ears and part of your face, so that's a good thing. And then I guess the other thing to think about is your shoes. Like again, if you're just fishing from the shore, then it's not a big concern. But if you're going to get in the water, and if you're going to canoe or get any kind of activity, water sport activity, where you're planning to get in the water, you know, you need to have some sort of a water shoe. And if you wear like boots like what you have on, or like a hiking boot like what I'm wearing, they get full of water, and then that's not comfortable. So I like these. I have this sandal here that's like a hard sole, closed toe, and it has a strap, and yet the water can drain out all around it. Of course, it's a sandal. And I like to wear those when I'm boating, or anytime I'm going to be walking the water or in the river, I mean, because you know, you never know when there might be glass or something down there too. So if you go barefoot, you don't want that.
I wish folks wouldn't throw the glass in there to start with.
I know, but some people, you just can't do anything with them.
Yeah, so definitely a shoe when you're in the water, never barefoot. I understand that.
Don't go barefoot.
But it needs to shed the water and not hold it like my boots.
Exactly, and and you can get water shoes that have like elastic around the ankle that are nice. But I like these because they have a hard sole, personally. One thing you want to avoid really though is flip-flops or Crocs, because when you get in the water and they come off your feet, they just float away or they won't stay on your feet, period, and they don't do what you want them to do then. So something with a strap or an elastic band is what you really need when you're in the water. So let me get my life jacket on, and then we'll.
Yeah, all jokes aside, before we stop to do all this, the fish really were biting.
Well, maybe we can get them biting again.
I hope so. I hope so.
All right, let me get this buckle. Oh, yeah. See, you know it's good whenever it's
warm hug for Mom. Let's
warm
do
hug.
this.
Let's go.
It's a nice vessel, Bruce. Isn't there some kind of law about whistles too? Aren't I supposed to have a whistle here in the state of West Virginia or something audible?
Yeah, so there is a law now that I keep a whistle on my vest here. When you're in a boat, you're supposed to have a whistle. And the reason is, like, if there's danger, it's so much easier to hear, you know, a whistle than a human voice, even if you're yelling or something like that. And especially if you get into a situation like here, we're at a nice calm pond. But if you're into like white water, like rushing water, even just not even what people consider white water, it makes a lot of noise, and it's really hard to hear. But you can hear that whistle.
I'm not sure I should go with you. I don't have an extra one.
Well, I usually carry an extra because every person's supposed to have one. And so here, you put that one around your neck, Mike.
Yellow whistle. Thank you, Bruce.
Now we always know where you're at. So On the canoe, let's roll this canoe up here and let me show you a few things. I know you've been in a canoe before, but just in case you're not familiar, you know, canoes are perfectly symmetrical, and the only reason you know the front from the back is the back seat is closer to the rear of the canoe, or the stern, and the front seat has leg room, right? I thought what we would do, I don't have a pole, I was just going to canoe around, so I thought maybe I'd put you in the front and you can do some fishing and I'll paddle you around. I'll be your little motorboat.
I would love that. A trolling motor.
Yeah.
Bruce.
So I always find it better to put my gear in the canoe while it's here on the bank, so you can put your pole in there. Our paddles are right here. Let's get them and put a paddle in the front and a paddle back here in the back. And they don't have to be in the exact position, but just in the neighborhood. The other thing I might tell you before we get down to the water, when it comes to getting in a canoe, it's helpful to have 3 points of contact. So what I mean by that is you have 2 hands and 2 feet, that's 4 points. So as I get in, see, I've got 2 hands down, I've got a foot in, that's 3 points. And so as I move around, I might take one hand off, but I always keep one hand on, and that keeps me real steady. And also a wide base in the canoe also helps in terms of when it's rocking. It's better than being in the middle, you know. So anytime you want to move back and forward, if you just keep those 3 points of contact and walk back and forth, you can do it real steady because you can steady the canoe with your points on the gunnels. These are called the gunnels. So,
I can see how the thing would be really easy to roll over. I can understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
We definitely don't want to make our face one of those points of contact.
Exactly.
All right. Are we going to slide it in, Bruce?
Yeah, so let's just slide it right down along the side of the dock there, it'll be fine. And let me stop right here, Mike, and tell you, this is of course really extreme, but some people try and get in a canoe when one end is still on the bank like this. Now this is an extreme example because the bank's steep, but you can see how unsteady that is because all the weight is down there on that very tip, and it's very unsteady. So even if you have a shallow bank, you don't want to get in a canoe as it's launching this way. You want to put it on the side of the bank, or we have a dock here. We'll go use that dock here today. So let's slide it on down there. I got the back end. All right, you got it?
Yes, sir. Oh, what a fine vessel.
I'll come down here and hold on to it when you want to go ahead and get in there towards the front.
All right, so I'm looking at 3 points of contact, correct, Bruce?
That's right.
All right, so here's 1, here's 2, here's 3.
Yep.
And then I'm going to put my weight in.
Yep.
Excellent. I think I'll go ahead and help you. I think this oar slid just a
Yeah, and then you can go walk to your
paddle.
seat.
Slid just a little too far forward. I have not done 3 points of contact there. There we go. That's much more stable.
Yeah.
All right. Excellent. And sit.
How's
Bruce
that
is
feel?
wonderful.
All right. So I'm going to get in now. And again, using the same method, the 3 points of contact. I've got the 2 hands and a foot. And then I'll bring the other foot in.
It's not much different than being on the dock, really.
Yeah. Sit down. We're all good.
All right. I'm so glad you gave me a fitted life jacket.
Yeah, well, you know, this pond actually is pretty deep, so it's definitely over our heads. If we would tip over right now, we would not be touching, so we need the life jackets. So Mike, I'll paddle if you want to do some fishing.
I would love to.
Yeah, try that out a little bit. I'll be like I said, I'll be your trolling motor.
Take me to that bank, sir.
All right.
You know, Bruce, it doesn't take a whole lot of water to really get yourself in trouble. I was wading one time and fell in about 10 inches of water. My waders started to fill and it was really heavy. And had I not been, you know, followed one of the rules of having someone else with me, I'd have been in a whole lot of trouble. Not to mention it was really cold that day.
Yeah, you know, it just pays to never forget the power of water, whether it's filling up your boot like that and with the weight, or whether it's the current, you know, washing you away, or whether it's the temperature sapping the heat from your body. You need to respect the power of that water has. So I don't know, Mike. I know you've had a few nibbles here. You ready to go back to the shore for a little bit of fishing, or what are you thinking?
I'm thinking, did you see that 10-pounder we caught? Because it's our lie. We've got to tell it together. Let's go ahead and get out of here.
Let's head for the dock.
That was pretty cool, huh? Well, if you like that, you're really going to enjoy what we've got coming up right now.
Hi, my name is Emma Gardner and I am the STEM specialist here at WVU Jackson's Mill, and today we are going to learn about beak tools. They say the early bird catches the worm, but not all birds eat worm. The hummingbird, for instance, drinks nectar from a flower while a pelican scoops up fish in the sea. Have you ever thought about how bird beaks have adapted to their food sources? An adaptation is a characteristic of a living thing that helps it live in its habitat. A habitat is the place where living things naturally live and grow. Today, we are going to be engineers by using the engineer design process to design adaptations in the form of bird beaks. An engineer is a person who uses their knowledge of math and science to solve problems. The engineer design process is a 5-step cycle. Let's take a look. Up here at the top, we have ask, where you ask a question about how to solve your problem. The next step is imagine, where you imagine your solution. After that, we have plan, where you actually write out your plan and you determine what steps you're going to take. After that, you create a prototype and you test it. No invention works perfectly the first time. So sometimes you have to move to the next step, which is to improve your design. You do this by asking a question. What can I change about my prototype to make it work better? And then the whole process starts again. And that is our engineer design process. For today's activity, we are going to use the engineer design process to test different tools that are going to represent tools of our beaks, along with different food sources. So we are going to test tongs, chopsticks, a spoon, a pipette, and tweezers. So these are our beak tools that we're going to be testing. Our food sources are seeds, in this case I used popcorn kernels, rice, pipe cleaners that are supposed to represent our worms, pompoms, and some kind of drink or juice or food coloring. In our engineering design process, the question that we are asking here is which beak tool works best with which food source? So the next step is to imagine. So let's look at our tools and look at our food sources and really think about which tool will work best to pick up which food source. And some of these tools might work on multiple food sources. So let's think about that. Some things to consider. Will you be picking up multiple items, or will you be picking up a single kernel or a single grain of rice? Will you be trying to scoop up all of your juice or drink, or will you be trying to take a few drops? These are the sort of things that you need to be considering during the imagine step. After imagining, we are going to plan. Now, you can do this on a sheet of paper if you want, or you can use the worksheet that we developed. Here I have my worksheet. So I am going to assign at least one, if not multiple tools to each of our food sources. You can either write out your plan or you can draw it. I think I'm going to draw a picture. So I have my plan, but another thing to look at is to consider if each one of our food sources can be picked up by each one of our beak tools. So I'm going to think about this and predict whether or not they can be picked up or not. I made my predictions and we're going to see if they were correct or not. So let's get testing. And what you can do is you can either systematically test, or you can try choosing the specific design and choice that you made and testing from there. I am going to test one at a time down the line here. So we're gonna start with the tweezers. Now I said for the tweezers that it would definitely be able to pick up the rice. That's the only one that I drew a picture of it for in my plan. But flipping over, I think I said it could pick up a few more things. So let's see. And we'll see if I was correct or not. So we're gonna start with a popcorn kernel. Oh no. It cannot, these tweezers, oh nope, okay. It could barely pick up with a popcorn kernel, but it was hard to do. Let's try a grain of rice. Well, that was easy. Let's try a worm. That was really easy. Now let's try one of these pom-poms. It's a little hard to pick up, but I think I can do it if I pick it up by some hairs. That was hard to do. Do you think a bird with this beak size would be able to eat something like this, much less pick it up? I don't know. And finally, our drink, which it's can pick up maybe a few drops, but it doesn't do very well. Next is our pipette. So let's see if I can pick up any of our popcorn kernels. I think that's a no. What about our rice? Let's see if I can balance it on there. Nope, that's a no too. Now I think maybe I can pick up a worm. I'm very careful. Oh, I got 2 there. And now let's see about a pom-pom. I think that's a no. And finally, our drink, I can definitely pick up. Now, let's test the spoon. Can I pick up the popcorn kernels? I can. What about the rice? Definitely. Now, one thing to think about, I can definitely pick it up while there is a stack here, but can I pick it up when there are just a few grains? Let's see. Nope. What about the popcorn kernel? Nope. So something to think about. Can I pick up a worm? Ooh, not very well. I might be able to do it if I really tried and balanced. There we go, but I have to pick up a lot. I don't think I could pick up one by itself. Let's try one of the pom-poms. Ooh, I can pick one up for the pom-poms. Now it's time for our drink, and let's see. I can scoop it up just like soup. Now our chopsticks. I am not the best at holding chopsticks. I have some practice from eating sushi, but I'm not always perfect at it, and you may need to work at it too. If you have to hold it a different way, that is quite all right. So let's see if I can pick up popcorn kernel. Ooh, I did it. I'm very impressed. Now how about some rice? Let's see. I did manage to pick up some rice, though it was difficult. What do you think about our worms? Oh, definitely can pick up our worms. And can easily pick up a pom-pom. Now what about our drink? I mean, we got a couple drops on there. I don't know if that counts or not. And I definitely dyed my chopsticks red. Finally, we have tongs. So let's see what the tongs can pick up. Ooh, it can pick up our popcorn kernels. It can pick up our rice. Whoops. It can pick up our worms. It can pick up our pom-poms. And it really does not do a good job picking up our liquid. All right, so now that we have tested everything, you could improve your design by making your own design using found objects if you wanted, and try to determine what would be the best beak shape and what adaptations you would want to match your food source. We definitely noticed that some of our beak tools worked better than others with particular materials, right? So our pipette for sure worked better with our liquid than even our spoon, and definitely better than any of our other beak tools, right? So let's think a little bit about what these beak tools might represent for our real animals out in the wild. So we talked about a hummingbird earlier picking up nectar from a flower. Which one of these beak tools do you think best represents a hummingbird, and which one of our food sources might represent nectar? That's right, it's our liquid here. So our liquid and our pipette, right? Because a hummingbird has a very small needle-like beak, and it sucks up the nectar. So this represents a hummingbird. Now, we were talking a little bit about a pelican earlier, and I know that they hunt fish in the sea and they scoop them up with their beak. Which one of these beaks do you think best represents a pelican? That's right, the spoon, because it can scoop. We have other examples of good beaks. A bird that might catch a worm might have a beak that is more like our chopsticks or our tong, right? Depending on the size of the bird, or even our tweezers. So these are the sort of things you need to consider while doing this activity. And you can use different beak tools if you like, or you can design your own beak using found objects that you can find around your house or around your neighborhood and try to design a beak of your own. We didn't talk about this earlier, but what food source do you think each one of these represent? So our popcorn kernels could represent seeds. Our rice could represent small bugs. Our pipe cleaners represent worms. Our pompoms represent larger animals, such as fish or small mammals. And our drink represent nectar. So these are all different representations of the food sources. I hope you enjoyed using the engineer design process to test different beak tools and to decide what kind of beak tools would work best with what food source. Birds have adaptations based on their habitat and their food source. So the way that we think about our beak tools is that they line up with what food source is best for what habitat. Thank you so much.
Seeing everybody else have all this fun has really made me want to go outside. So I'm going to pack it up here and see what I can get into. For those of you at home, I hope you have a fun and safe summer, and I hope you'll join us here again next time. See you then.